Ruler presents Chocolate Yoddah Live.
Hi, folks. Hi, folks. Chocolate Yoddah here. Having trouble with my technology once again. Oh, Yoddah spelled Yoddah because film studios are litigious. Let's see. Welcome to another installment of Chocolate Yoddah Live. Today is Monday, July 10, 2023. Hello to the Wisdom app. Hello to the folks on Clubhouse. I'm still working on my technology to figure out how to speak to people live, but it's coming soon. I just ordered a piece of equipment and hopefully that'll help. We'll see. Anyway, what do I want to talk about today? Today, I want to talk about judgment. Now, people have a lot of varying ideas about judgment and what it is and whether it should be done, shouldn't be done, that kind of stuff. We know that religion says judgment is a bad thing. And maybe it is, but we'll figure it out. When I think about judgment, I think about labeling things, right? Because basically, I guess that's what you're doing, right? If you say someone is bad or someone is wrong or someone is evil, you're assigning a label to them. And I remember that it was Soren Kierkegaard who said that when you label me, you negate me. That's kind of interesting. And maybe there's some truth to that. But I think of the famous balcony soliloquy that Juliet Capulet gave. If you remember Romeo and Juliet, or even if you don't, there was a rivalry between the Capulets and the Montagues. Romeo is a Montague. So Romeo Montague meets Juliet Capulet. Their families are rivals, bitter, violent rivals. And she is into him. So when she's standing on the balcony, she's basically trying to understand, maybe even rationalize her desire for Romeo Montague. And as she's contemplating the rivalry between the families, she starts thinking about their names. And she asks, what's in a name? What's in a name? Because a name is what? A label. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So basically what she's saying is that names are irrelevant. Of course, she's trying to justify her desire, so we have to take that with a grain of salt, right? So what's the whole point of labeling people? Because we have lots of labels, right? I myself have father as my first label, salesperson, I guess, since that's been my career, ex-husband to 2 women, grandfather, affectionately known as grandpa, to 3 young people, right? And you could label me Dominican, because that's where I was born, the Dominican Republic. You can label me black, because there really is no difference between blacks and Hispanics, but that's a story for another time. What else? You could label me fat, you could label me male, you could label me 59 years of age. There's lots of labels, right? And if you notice, when people meet for the first time, it seems like that entire process of meeting someone and getting to know someone is just a series of assigning labels to that person, right? You meet someone, oh, where are you from? So there's the nationality label, right? What religion are you? So there's that label, which is possibly the most useless one. Because it's like, oh, I have an imaginary friend. What's your imaginary friend? So, okay, some people think they need to know that. There's that label. What do you do for a living? There's the vocation label. What do you like to do? Oh, what political party are you? That's a big one, right? What political party are you affiliated with? So there's your political affiliation label. So all these labels, right? Are both parents alive? So if not, you have that label. Are you an only child or do you have siblings? There's that label. Do you get along with your mother? Do you get along with your father? There's that label. So it's sort of this quasi-detective work that we do when we first meet someone in order to fit them into categories. There's boxes, right? You put people in boxes, and I think, to Kierkegaard's point, is that these things can be negating. They can be too narrow. If someone says, I'm a Democrat, and you think you understand what that means automatically, you are narrowly defining someone. If someone says the same about being a Republican, it's the same thing. Even MAGA Republicans. If I think that I know everything about someone because they self-identify as a MAGA Republican, I'm likely wrong. And it's narrow-minded of me, and it's small-minded of me, and it's dismissive. I think that's what Kierkegaard was getting to, is that it's like we have this need to comfortably understand someone. So we seek to learn their labels because we think their labels are going to help us understand them, right? And it's like when someone, before I started, proclaiming that I'm atheist, I mean, even that label, people think that means something. They'll say, oh, only atheists get involved with genocide. And it's like, well, Hitler was very religious, so maybe that's not true. But again, it's that minimizing someone, dismissing someone just based on a label that either you gave to them or they gave to themselves. And what is all this about? Why do we have this? Why do we have this process of judging other people? Did it just come out of nowhere? Is it new? Is it worse now than it's ever been before, if it existed before? Like, there's a few questions to examine here, and I'll start with saying that it's absolutely not new. If you go back 10,000 years, we're still in prehistory, and I think it was the transitioning between Paleolithic, easy for me to say, Paleolithic and Pleistocene area, I think it's called. I said era. So Paleolithic and Pleistocene, right? I'm not going to try to say those again because obviously that ain't easy for me. But this was the time of the mastodon, right? And humans and mastodons coexisted. And this was at a time where humans were transitioning from being pure hunter-gatherers to setting up agriculture. And that was significant because if you were able to master agriculture, it means you didn't have to wander around looking for your food. So that was the first attempt to make life easy. I mean, not really literally the first attempt, but I would say on a grand scale, maybe. And if there are people that study anthropology, you're probably thinking I'm really dumb right now, but this is just my thimble full of knowledge on this subject, right? So at that time, I don't think language was nearly as organized and standardized as it would become. And there were lots of judgments that had to be made to ensure survival, right? Hey, wait a minute. For those of you only listening, suddenly a chyron appeared under me. It says, flat, bloated Dominican talking nonsense. Well, that seems unnecessary. But anyway. There had to be a lot of judgments back then. Like on wisdom, I call this talk friend, foe, predator, prey, because that was probably the first and most important judgment that anyone ever had to make at any given moment. Are you friend or foe? Right? So imagine you're in this village of roughly 150 people. You're working together to make sure that everybody is fed and everybody's protected. And now over the ridge, there's a group of people walking towards you. So you can't just sit and wait until either they shake your hand or they're trying to stab you to death. You have to make a judgment. Do they look like my friend or do they look like my foe? This is very important. A very important judgment that had to be made. Right? Same thing with predator-prey. Are you an animal that I can eat, which would be my prey? Or are you an animal that's going to try to eat me, which would be my predator? These are very basic and very important, actually critical judgments that had to be made. So that's in our DNA. That's our wiring as early prehistoric humans. I think early and prehistoric might be redundant. Sorry about that. But there'll be more of that. I can virtually guarantee it. So this facility, this mechanism for judging the situation that you're in, judging the people that you see, judging the animals that you see, this was critically important, and that type of mechanism is housed in the most ancient part of our brain, the brain stem, the part of the brain that is directly connected to the spinal cord, so that there is no delay between your decision or your awareness and the action that you have to take that corresponds to the reality that you're faced with. This is absolutely essential for survival. So that's why we go through this process when we meet someone. Even though it seems casual, you're having a cup of coffee with someone, you're trying to figure out friend, foe, predator, prey. And of course you're not thinking that. That's not what polite society would have you think, so they call it getting to know someone. Doesn't that sound nice? Of course you're getting to know someone. You're getting to know whether they intend to kill you or not, or to sexually abuse you, or to steal from you. I mean, isn't that really what it is? You have this tabula rasa in front of you, blank slate, right? This new person you're meeting for the first time, they are a blank slate. The first thing you do in the process of judging that person is how they look to you. You can't judge a book by its cover, yeah, but you might be able to judge a murderer by the energy that they're giving off. And if you think you're a murderer and they're not, too bad for them. It's okay if you're wrong because they haven't experienced anything. That person doesn't know you thought that they were a murderer. That's just something you thought. And if you're wrong, you're happy to be wrong about that. Right? Like I joke, well, it's really a half a joke. I have a pretty severe resting bitch face. And I know, people will look at me and think that I'm an ornery dude. I'm kind of big. People refer to me as big man all the time, big guy, And when I say big, I mean fat. But, I fill out my clothes. I look like, a football player, basically. Kind of on the small end of football players, but I look like a football player. Or someone that's just kind of stout and sturdy, right? And so if people come across me and I'm a big guy, because of my grooming, I look like 90% of the composite sketches out there, right? And I have this ornery look on my face, that might give someone pause. That might make someone uneasy, and I understand that, and I would never blame them for that. Good for you that you have the facility to preserve yourself. That's all that is. This guy looks like a problem. I'm going to avoid this guy. That's all that's about, right? But theoretically, that person is still a blank slate. You might have a feeling about it. Again, looks like a nice guy, looks like a bad guy. You might have a feeling, but you don't know because you don't have any data beyond the visual at this point. But now you're encountering someone. Now you're having an interaction. You're sitting down or standing up, right? Sitting down is not required for this, but you can just start talking and start learning about someone. And again, all the questions seem to be pretty standard, pretty repetitive. Think about every time you've met someone. Oh, where are you from? What's your family do? How many siblings do you have? And people know that they have to tread lightly around politics and religion, but they get to that eventually. People always figure out how to work those into the evaluation, information gathering process. But at the end of the day, we have to be honest about it. It's all about judging someone. And it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. When religions tell you don't judge someone, that's ridiculous. Especially since the guy in charge judges everybody. Oh my God, am I having an aneurysm? Wow. Anyway, the guy in charge judges everyone, right? And since we were made in their image, part of that image is to judge. It's also to create, but it is to judge. And we have to judge if we want to preserve our safety. We have to. If you don't believe that, that's fine. You can walk around with what my ex-wife used to refer to as a fresh head, unencumbered by any problems of reality. Fine. That's your business. But I am going to judge everyone that I see because I want to stick around, because I want to protect myself. And I don't do it in a paranoid way. I don't walk around afraid at all. I've been in martial arts since 1977. There's very few things that would be problematic for me in a real world violent encounter. Doesn't mean that I know that I would win, but at least I have a shot because of my training, right? So I don't walk around scared, but I walk around judging people all the time. My favorite thing to do is wait until you start talking. That makes my judgment really easy, because here you are now, fully representing your thoughts, ideas, philosophies, and beliefs. And I will gladly sit back and listen to you do that. And I will judge you. Are you friend, foe, predator, prey? That's all I want to know. I could subdivide those things. Are we like-minded? Do we disagree on fundamental principles of good and evil? You know, like this thing with religious freedom, where you say, don't discriminate against me because of my religion, but I will discriminate against you because of your sexual orientation. That's horse shit. It's hypocritical. It's nonsense. So I don't want to engage in that. I want to be fair and balanced to whatever extent I can be. Again, I don't know whether I'm fair and balanced. I only know that I want to be, and that is my effort. But in order to be fair and balanced, I have to evaluate. And evaluate is just unnecessary syllables for judge. And I have to judge you. I have to first look at you to see, because look, come on, we know that there are people that look like problems. There are people out there that look like they want to start something. Right? And you can pick that up just visually. You can feel their energy. You can see their body language. You can see the expression on their face. They look like a problem, so you avoid them. Guess what? You just judge that person, and good for you. That's what you need to do to survive. Stop being bamboozled by religious foppish twaddle from illiterate sand dwellers 2,000 years ago that didn't know what bacteria was. I'm not saying the book is useless, but let's give some context. But anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Friend, foe, predator, prey. We've got to know. We've got to evaluate these things. And let me just take a brief look. Got a few people listening on Wisdom. If you want to come up and start talking, feel free. And I will close out the YouTube live portion of this. So that's it. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Lindsay May is going to come on and join us. Lindsay May, hang tight. I'm going to close out YouTube and switch out my technology so that I can speak with you. But that's it, folks. Judging is necessary. Judging is a survival tool. So in my opinion, judging is good. Can it be misapplied? Absolutely. Can it be abused? Absolutely. So can water. If you drink too much water, you can die. That doesn't make water inherently bad. All right? So that's it for now, folks. Thank you for joining me. For the folks watching on YouTube, for anybody else, if you want to see me live, you can go to youtube.com/@thepersistentrumor. And you can either continue typing /streams, or you can just click on the live tab. If you don't catch it live, it's all archived on YouTube, so you can watch it anytime you want. And that's it for now. Peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.